For decades, a quiet stretch of farmland in western Kentucky has carried a warning. Not about ghosts, not about demons, but about something that came from the sky and refused to leave. Long before the story had a name, before newspapers reduced it to headlines, locals spoke about that land in careful tones. About nights that felt watched. About sounds that didn't belong to animals. About the sense that the fields remembered something. On the night of August 21st, 1955, 11 people gathered at a small farmhouse near the town of Kelly. They weren't thrill seekers. They weren't investigators. They were simply together for the evening. They were ordinary people, farm workers, family, friends, people who rose with the sun and trusted what they could see with their own eyes. No history of hoaxes. No interest in fame. No reason to invent what would follow. And before the night was over, they would tell police they had been surrounded not by intruders, but by creatures that were not human. It began shortly after nightfall, as the heat of the day refused to fade, as insects droned and the sky settled into stillness, the kind of quiet that feels stretched thin. One of the men stepped outside to fetch water from a nearby well, a routine task done countless times before, so familiar it barely required thought. The air was heavy, the kind that presses against your skin. The fields were quiet, too quiet, as if sound itself was holding back. Then he saw something streak across the sky, a bright object, low, silent, not burning like a meteor, not blinking like a plane, descending behind the trees near the farmhouse. It didn't crash. It didn't explode. It simply disappeared as if it had chosen that spot. At first, he said nothing. There were no words for what he'd seen. But minutes later, the dogs began to bark. Not the kind of barking that fades. Not territorial. Not curious. This was panicked, continuous, urgent, as if something was moving just beyond the reach of the porch light. When the men stepped onto the porch, shotguns in hand, trying to make sense of the noise, they saw it. A small figure stood near the edge of the yard, roughly 3 to 4 feet tall, thin limbs that seemed too long for its body, a large, rounded head. Its eyes reflected the light like silver coins. Perfect, unblinking. Not animal eyes, not human eyes. Eyes that did not react the way eyes should. It raised its arms, not in attack, not in defense, just raised them. And that's when they fired. The gunshots shattered the quiet, echoing across the fields. The creature fell backward into the grass. For a moment, they thought it was over. Then it stood back up. No blood, no cry, no sign of injury. Just movement smooth and controlled, as if gravity meant nothing to it. As if impact had no meaning at all. That's when panic took hold. They ran inside and barricaded the doors. Furniture dragged, locks thrown, breaths shallow and fast, hearts racing with nowhere to go. For the next several hours, the farmhouse was under siege. The creatures appeared at windows, at door frames, on the roof, peering through gaps in the walls, always watching, never rushing, never reacting the way fear expects. Each time one emerged, shots were fired. Each time nothing was left behind. No bodies, no blood, no footprints that made sense. Just dents in walls, and fear that refused to settle. The family described the same details again and again. Metallic-looking skin, oversized heads, long arms that seemed to bend unnaturally at the joints. Descriptions that never changed. They said the creatures floated, glided, as if they were never truly touching the ground, as if the ground was optional. Sometime after midnight, terrified and exhausted, they fled the farmhouse, leaving everything behind, and drove to the Hopkinsville police station. Officers followed them back, expecting hysteria, or exaggeration, or nothing at all. Instead, they found bullet holes in the walls, spent shell casings scattered across the yard, and shaken adults who could barely speak without trembling. But the creatures were gone. No hoax equipment, no signs of animals, no evidence of alcohol or drugs, nothing to easily dismiss what had happened. And perhaps most unsettling of all, every witness told the same story, independently, consistently, down to the smallest details. In the years that followed, skeptics offered explanations. Owls, hallucinations, mass panic, but none could explain the duration, the number of witnesses, or why trained officers documented the incident so carefully, why the reports never wavered. To this day, no explanation fully accounts for what surrounded that farmhouse in 1955. Were they extraterrestrial? Something interdimensional? Or something else entirely that simply crossed into our world for one long night? If this story pulled you in, there are many more waiting for you here. Subscribe to Moonlit Archives for true encounters, unexplained events, and the stories that refuse to stay buried.